All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, the bonds to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth and who rule well. A mighty Shalom, to the brothers teaching week in and week out, prophesying the downfall of Esau Edom as well as the deliverance of the hopeful Israelites, as well, another mighty Shalom, to the hopeful, on the four corners of the earth, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well, as the speckled bird, the ones that, the hopeful elect, out there that look like the other nations, So with this lesson, I was watching Elder Yashawamba, at work, watching this video. It said the days are being shortened for our sakes, so he's going into how Esau, Edom, their technology is ramping up and it's going quickly. It's going to start ramping up. It's a certain term, drip something, but it pretty much goes into gradualism. We keep seeing on social media or TV shows or movies, their plans of what to do, with the MOTB, as well as their technocracy. We could get that real quick. Word technocracy. Not crow. Tripping. It says the government or control of society or industry by an elite or technical experts. And who's the head, of Babylon the Great, also known as America, Elon, DJT, the trumpet, he put Elon, at the head of so many things, that's in charge of America, But now these two dummies, beefing, allegedly, doing WWE stunts, doing publicity stunts, But which who knows, because he had a black eye, and that could mean one or two things, if you know. But yeah, this is the way of America and essentially the whole world, That's the part of the New World Order, making this place a technocracy, as well as a totalitarianism, complete rulership underneath pretty much a dictator, And that's exactly what's going to happen, So let's get into this video, Lord willing. I hope this lesson is edifying, It's going to be a quick one. Just something I just thought I should bring out to you guys. You see the video right here. It's a mighty lesson from the elder. You guys should check it out. So here it is.
What is he talking about? Let's listen to him. Let's listen to your boy E.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitant.
Yeah, well,
Yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in
Should the
this.
human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal is this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body.
You see that? They're trying to attain immortality.
Yep, and that's facts. Why are they trying to obtain immortality? Because Esau, he got finessed at his birthright, so now he's trying to take it back, by coming down, with great wrath, onto the Israelites, according to Revelation 12, you know, as well, you know, is the transhumanism agenda, you know, with the MOTB, you know, it's a TV show called Altered Carbon, you know, with Anthony Mackie, you know, goes into them pretty much trying to attain immortality while pretty much trying to put your soul or your consciousness, you know, onto a disc. You know, you could put it into multiple bodies. So pretty much you could hop body to body, you know. As well as, you know, with the MOTB, you know, performing miracles, you know, getting rid of cancer, you know, stopping people from getting deleted from various diseases and catching it way beforehand, you know, doing all these things. You know, this is the agenda, you know, of Esau Edom, you know, the elites of this place, you know. And one of the other end goals I forgot to bring out, you know, is world domination, you know, putting the world in subjection, you know, by wearing not wearing, but I'm gonna bring that out, but having a BCI, you know, a brain computer interface, you know, technology either in your brain, you know, or your right hand, you know, however they see fit, you know. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about so like it's called a brain fart. This is what I was talking about when I was saying the gradualism. And I want to find that word, 'cause I was literally just watching it yesterday on Mr. Robot. It's a decent little show, pretty much exposing, you know, the elites, you know, this place. Gradual. Triple. Whenever I find this word, I'm gonna end up just making a video on it, honestly. Drip feeding. I'm gonna end up doing a lesson on that, but drip feeding. 'Cause that's exactly, you know, what they're doing. It's just another word for gradualism. You know, synonymous for gradualism, you know. Just like a water drop or something, or you got like a what do you call that? A tincture, you know. You slowly dripping something out of like a vessel or something to somebody, slowly. It says introduce fluid drop by drop. Supply a patient with fluid, nutrients, or drugs through a drip feed. It says often refers to a person's style, especially Let's see what dictionary.com say. Hate all these damn ads. I don't know. So they ain't just okay. They could put in a sentence, but where's the definition? Well, let's look up this word intravenous. Intravenous. I don't know if I'm tripping. Yeah. So, like, I'm just getting off work, so Jake tired. Forgive me. Make sure I'm just trying to see what that says. Intravenous. Never looked this word up. I was going into the health. Okay, going to the health. But yeah, you get the gist, you know. Esau Edom, you know, is slowly showing these things, you know, in our face, putting these things in, you know, in the news and in the media, you know, showing them people on TikTok, you know, celebrities, you know, taking You know, it wasn't even celebrities. You know, just people higher up in society. You know, give them self-administering. You know, BCIs. You know, in their bodies. You know, the MOTB in their body. You know. And then to add to the point with the MOTB, you know, it's going to be the same thing what they did with the jump shot. You know, having celebrities promote it. You know, having niggas like Magic Johnson. You trust niggas like Magic Johnson, Arsenio Hall. You know, Ellen the the degenerate. You know, who else? So many actors and so-called influencers and entertainers, people that shouldn't be trusted, you know. These are the people that promoted it and made and swayed the people to take the jump shot. And these going to be the same people, you know, that's going to do the same thing, you know, to take the MOTB. You know, they're going to make it seem like it's a hot commodity, you know, at first. But then when they feel like, hey, not enough people taking it, they're going to force their hand. You know, that's when they're going to come down with great wrath even more. You know, they're going to try to kill the hopeful elect. You know, they're going to try to kill the saints, you know, for not bowing down to their system, you know. Let's get this video again so I get my precepts. We can end it off with that.
I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems, right. And so, you know, it's always
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm typing like I'm dyslexic or something crazy. What is that scripture, bro? Khan. This is Psalms 49 and 11. We probably getting an NLT as well. See what it says. It's in 11. Yeah. We can start at 11. It's trying to see if we can start a little bit up. This is Psalm 49:11. It says, the inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not, he is like the beasts that perish. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their sayings. Salah. So he's pretty much going into they think that, you know, this place America, you know, their establishment, you know, their empire is gonna last forever, you know, as well, you know, as their servants, you know, 2/3 of our people, as well as the heathen nations that's underneath, you know, that's underneath the higher class, you know, the elites in the higher class, you know, the rich. You know, they think this place is going to last forever, you know. And it says they name their lands after their own names, which we see, you know. You go, pretty sure it's a Rockefeller Street, if I'm not mistaken. What else? There's hella streets named after presidents, you know, scientists, you know. It's another precept I wanted to get, but let's see what this video says again.
You know, yeah, transhumanism is this, you know, the ideal is this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body.
You see that? They're trying.
Let's get that word transhumanism. It says transhumanism is a philosophical and intellectual movement that advocates for using technology to enhance human capabilities and overcome limitations of human condition. Alright. Bounds you cannot pass. Cause the Lord already said you can't go farther than what He set you up to be. They think they're the Lord. Essentially they think they could bypass the Lord and do their own thing. Which isn't true, according to what the Lord says in the scriptures. This is Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined. Pretty much, let's get that word determined. Limited, restricted, bounded. It says, fixed, unswervable, decided already. Yeah. So your lot, it's already decided, Esau, Y'all think y'all bypassing the Lord, thinking y'all doing things of your own, on your own accord, But the Lord literally said the deceived and the deceiver is His, Pretty much, and the Lord also said, pretty much roughly paraphrasing, pretty much the actions of the kings is pretty much in the Lord's hands, So the Lord, determined the footsteps of everyone, to put it simply, But seeing His days are determined, already ruled out, the number of His months are with Thee, with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Thou hast appointed His bounds that He cannot pass. That the Lord appointed, He put a force field that He cannot pass, in multiple ways. How strong His rulership could be, His lifespan and not reaching immortality, reaching certain places on the earth, reaching certain places that can't be touched, even, certain parts of the ocean, as well, as the heavens. The Lord put limitations on this motherfucker, because if he didn't, he'd try to do something crazy, which we already seeing what he doing now. Once Esau, he didn't realize he can't escape this motherfucking place, you start bringing, hey, all hell, he's finna start bringing hell down on people, Let's get to the last precept. We can end off with that. Horrible is the ending. It's in Wisdom of Solomon. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, starting at verse 16. It says, as for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. Shoot, I was thinking of a precept. It says, I'm gonna figure it out. It says, verse 17, it says, for they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Yeah, the scriptures say shameful spewing shall be on their glory, them getting exposed to all the wickedness that they did in the earth, past and present, as well as when Yahweh shall come back, and Lord willing, we be the joint heirs, you know, we're going to put them in subjection, you know, we're going to put them in their rightful place, you know, and their rightful place is being based, you know, being at the bottom, being at the lowest on the totem pole, you know, of the nations, you know, as well as being completely rooted out, you know, after the 1,000 years of servitude. Verse 18, it says, or if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of trial. For horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation. You know, so that could be twofold as well, you know, going into 2/3 of our people. You know, horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation, you know. The nuclear missiles as well as, you know, the laser beams of the, you know, of the chariots, you know, is going to completely destroy this place, you know, and that's going to be a horrible judgment, you know. It's going to be a horrible judgment, you know. As well, you know, the judgment that's going to be going out during the time of Jacob's trouble, you know, which we're seeing on the rise, you know. Our people being 2/3 of our people, you know, being persecuted, you know, the Latinos as well, you know, the Haitians, you know, the Southern Kingdom for our people, you know, which is going to ramp up, you know, to multiple things, you know. But ultimately, it's going to result to Revelations 12:12, you know, and them, you know, showing their true colors. They're showing their horns, you know. So I'm reading verse 19 and end up with that. It says, Wisdom of Solomon 3:19, for horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation, you know. So Lord willing, I hope this lesson was edifying. You know, I like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, who taught us the truth and who rule well. And a mighty, mighty, mighty shalom to the brothers teaching week in and week out. You know, the prophets, you know, the teachers, you know, brotherhood. To you I say shalom as well, you know, as the listeners, you know, the flock, you know, the hopeful elect out there. To you I say shalom on the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom.